right, good afternoon, guys. I'm not going to get into a big rambling thing here today. There's just some reports out that the Mets are possibly interested in a reunion with Max Scherzer. Um, I don't see this as an issue at all. We've been complaining about pitching all offseason, and we're upset that we don't have an ace and all this. I understand Scherzer's not an ace anymore. He's not even a top end of the rotation kind of guy anymore. But as a depth piece, as a back end guy on a 1 year deal, that's probably very low salary with lots of incentives. There's no downside. There's only potential. Now, do I see him being what he used to be? No, he's never going to be that again. He's 40 years old, 41 years old. He's not the same guy as he was. His fastball velocity's down. He's getting injured more and more. But he's better than Griffin Canning. He's better than I, I don't know that he's better than McGill at this point, but he's at least as good as McGill and has higher potential than McGill. He's better than Blackburn. So I don't see how you could be against us getting pitching and then also against us getting Scherzer on a short term, no issue deal. There's no issue at all on a 1 year deal. If he fails, you can DFA him. If he's great and hits all those incentives and ends up getting paid a lot of money, then he had a great year and you found a top end guy for a low amount of money. So anyone complaining that this is a bad move, and I get that he kind of left on not so great terms, but it wasn't hateful. It wasn't hatred. There was no f you and I'll never play for them again. It wasn't I hate that organization. It was just I'm moving on to a place where I feel like I can win, and they told me I'm not going to win here. Like like we said, he's almost 40 years old, and now he is 40 years old. He's only willing to go to a place he feels like he can win. And if the Mets said, "Hey, we're not looking to win next year," then of course he would want to go. So low risk, high reward, or at least mid reward. I don't think it's really you're not going to see Max Scherzer of 5 years ago or 6 years ago, but maybe he turns into a number three for the year. Who knows? So there's literally no downside. There was a lot of rumors going around yesterday about Pete Alonso, and he was close to the Blue Jays. Andy Martino reported that he was at the 10-yard line, and then more reports came out from a Toronto writer who said, I don't know where this is coming from. Toronto is telling me that they're not progressing on a deal at all." To me, that's all smoke coming from Boras. I think Toronto does have an offer, and it's probably higher than what the Mets offered, but I don't think Pete really wants to go to Toronto. So this is all, hype coming from Boras to try to get the Mets to up their offer. Now, if the Mets don't, yeah, he'll probably just go to Toronto and be fine with that. But I think this is a last ditch effort to try to get the Mets to come up. Will it work? Probably not. I don't think Stearns is moving. I think Pete can either accept what the Mets have offered at this point or he can move on. And I think that's the hard line they're taking. Now, if it's a difference of a couple $1 million, $1 or $2 million a year, do I think maybe they say, okay, it's worth it for that? Sure. But unless he's willing to just take what the Mets offer at this point, they've moved on. They're not concerned. And they're perfectly willing to move on. And we should be too at this point. Yes, we want him back, but if it's not going to work out, it's not going to work out, and I'd rather it just be over with. Rip the Band-Aid off. Uh, Plan something else. Look ahead to something else. I've still said that if Pete goes to Toronto, a lot of people are saying that's to play with Vladdy, but I see it as now you have three lumbering first basemen, basically. I know Santander is an outfielder, but he doesn't play the position well. He's a DH. So you have these three lumbering power hitter kind of guys. What's the plan? I feel like maybe it's a backup. If they can't re-sign Vladdy, then they can trade him and have Alonso as a backup plan. I think it makes it more likely that a trade of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. happens. But I could be wrong there. Maybe they're just throwing money at people because they're trying to win in a weak American League. Other than the Yankees, the Red Sox got better this offseason, but there's not many teams in the American League doing much of anything. J.D. Davis just signed with the Angels. Okay, like there's nothing going on in the American League. Everything except for the Yankees and the Red Sox to a lesser extent. We still know where Bregman's going to go. That looks like it might be the Red Sox. Who knows? But maybe that's their plan. Oh, let's just get a bunch of sluggers together and see if we can compete with the Yankees and make it through the American League. Maybe, but I see that as they know it's a backup plan. If they can't extend Vladdy, then they'll have to trade him, and at least they have someone there to appease their fans a little bit. Someone who can at least hit some home runs. It's a pretty good hitters ballpark up there. I think Pete would do well. But it's not over. We'll see what happens on the whole Pete thing. I don't want to go into a big long thing about Pete. We've talked about that enough. And at this point, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. The Mets have their offer. If he takes it, he takes it. If he doesn't, he's going to move on. But that's really all that's going on today. I really think there's nothing wrong with picking up Scherzer on a 1 year deal. And people have said that I don't, I couldn't see him wearing a rally cap or putting another pitcher's name under his eyes and all that. Yeah, he's not going to do that. But it doesn't mean he's not great for the pitchers that they have in the clubhouse. There was never an issue when he was with the Mets that other players didn't like him. Yes, he's intense when on the days that he pitches, but he's a great teammate. Everyone likes him. He's very involved with the union. He's close with the guys. He's part of the baseball culture. He's not an issue in the clubhouse. So that's not going to be a thing at all. So the way he left the Mets, I know maybe rubbed a few people the wrong way, but it's not. It's not the end of the world. It's not like how Stroman left the Mets. It's not the same kind of thing. We have nothing. I have nothing but respect for Scherzer and Verlander for the way that they left the Mets, um, and that's really it. So that's all I got. Until next time, let's go Mets.